Dumelang, welcome to another episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. Wherever you are watching, we're so happy to receive you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. But let's ask you just a little tiny favor, which is just to strike that notification bell, and as well, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. You wouldn't believe it how helpful it is to us, for us to grow, for us to continue doing what we do. We just need to strike that button. And let me welcome my guests. We're going to talk all things manufacturing, all things of manufacturing of bottles, for that matter, right here in BW. And my guest is Mandy Gopolang.
Yes.
Welcome, Mandy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Mm-hmm. As usual, I would love for you to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background.
Okay. My name is Mandy Gopolang. I am a young Botswana woman of 26 years old. And Gizoko Majwane Kemotsapong. Yes, so what happened is I studied just a bit of academic background. I studied entrepreneurship and business leadership.
Show your hands out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship.
Not hidden. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I find that if your hands are hidden, you don't communicate your emotions.
Okay. No, I'll get there. I'll definitely get there. So I studied entrepreneurship and business leadership in BAC. I graduated 2018. And from then, I worked as an accountant for a water company. And when we used to order our raw materials outside. So that's where I started this idea, and this is why we're here.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about your academics.
Me studying entrepreneurship and business leadership, it actually wasn't because of passion. It was, it just happened to be there. Initially, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to work in a bank. But then, I was like, you know what? Entrepreneurship is actually a field that I can go into. There's actually a lot one can do there. So that's why I ended up studying entrepreneurship, was actually to be an entrepreneur. So it didn't start immediately right after varsity. It's something that was building up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you graduated when?
2018.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And what was the inspiration behind Hop Bottles?
Okay, the company.
GOP Bottles.
Yes, it's actually, you pronounced it right. The company, my inspiration was honestly to fill a gap. It had nothing to do. Most people are driven by a lot of things when they want to be entrepreneurs. Some are doing it out of passion. Some are doing it because they love doing it. With me, I never knew anything about machines. It's something that I saw, as I was working at the company. I was like, you know what? Why are we buying our raw materials from South Africa? Why don't we have young Botswana entrepreneurs who will actually dive into this and manufacture these things in Botswana? So that's how I initially started. That's where I drew my inspiration from. It was to fill that gap. Okay. Yeah.
Noble Ways, that's the parent company trading as GOP or hops. Is it just a name, or is there more to this Noble Ways?
It's just a name. To be honest, it's just a name. With the hop bottles, yes, it's more to it. It's actually aligned with Gopolang, but the Noble Ways is, it's just the name.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could have decided to manufacture anything else, but you chose bottles.
Yeah.
Why bottles specifically?
For me, with bottles, it's because, like I said prior, I wanted to fill in that gap. There were times when we would, at the company where I was working for, there was a time when we would have a lot of challenges, and when we have suppliers from outside, they don't really care much about. So for me, I was like, no, this is something that I need to do. I need to go into this. And actually, when I started, it was to help. For me, it was to help that company. I wanted to be their supplier. But then growing into the business, I noticed that, wow, there's actually a lot more to this. We have different types of clients. this is something that I didn't think about. It just came after I started, and I'm like, wow, so this is something that I'm actually doing. Yeah.
So in terms of the addressable market, how big is it?
It's very vast. The market is, I don't know if I should name drop, but the market is quite good. We'll talk about challenges, but the market is, there's never a day where we complain and I say, oh my God, there's no clients today. Because we have juices, and also because the actual material that we use, which I'll talk about during the production process, is recyclable. So even after we do our bottles with the damages and with everything, we work with recycle companies. When we take the bottles there, we get our money back. So it's not like it's just completely dry. So the market is quite vast, actually.
Is there any particular type of bottles or bottle that you are interested in?
Yes. Currently, because we started before COVID, we decided to go into 500 mls and 1.5s. But the machine that we have is capable of producing any kind of bottle from 50 mls to 2 liters. But because after proper field and desk research, we realized that the demand is currently in the 500 mls and the 1.5s. So we decided to go into that specific bottle. So we do have 2 different shapes for the 500 mls and 2 different shapes for the 1.5s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you have to change the machine, or you continued with the same machine?
We continued with the same machine. It's just a matter of changing molds. Molds is thing, the actual, it molds the plastic into the bottle that you want.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily need to change the machine. We just need to get more molds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say this business is capital intensive and labor intensive, or both?
I would say it's capital intensive because the machine that we have, it's semi-automatic. We don't really need a lot of people to put in the work. And what we do is we do mass production. We don't work as per order. If a company like Starpex says we need 10,000 bottles, we don't suddenly start manufacturing 10,000 bottles because of how effective it is, because it also manufactures 800 bottles per hour. So you can imagine how much we can do. So it's actually capital intensive because the more the demand, the more we need to invest in the molds, the different types of, plastic bottles that we want to make.
Speaking of capital intensiveness of the business, a lot of young entrepreneurs complain about capital and the availability of funding. How did you deal with that challenge?
Okay. With funding, how I initially started, like I said, I was actually working for a water company, and after I saw the gap, I decided to write up a proposal. And we do have a lot of, government initiatives, young people. We have MySec, we have your CEDAs, we have all those, institutions. So I decided to write up a proposal, and I took it to the Ministry of Youth, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I saw a market, I saw a gap, I want to go into plastic bottle manufacturing. And they funded me for that. And that's how I...
Who's they?
YDF, Ministry of Youth.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not SIDA.
Not SIDA, no, I didn't go to SIDA. I actually went to youth, yeah.
All right. And in terms of the initial startup, what did you say were the challenges beyond capital?
The challenges for me, oh my God, it's very, more especially because I'm a young woman and I want to go into a male-dominated industry. It was extremely difficult. I had to prove myself twice as much as, if it was another person saying, hey, I want to go into this. Because for me, every door I would knock at, they would say, what experience do you have? What do you know about machines? So I had to constantly, it's not like it was a walk in the park. There were times when I literally gave up and I was like, you know what, I did well in school. Let me just go look for a white collar job and work. But then something kept on saying, no, you have to do this. So those are some of the challenges that I had, people not believing in that dream that you have, but I would constantly have to.
What do you mean you had to work twice as hard as a male? Give me an idea of what sort of work you're talking about.
Having to. There was a time when because when I applied to the Ministry of Youth in Mompoloki. So I remember when I went there, it was, oh my God, it was difficult. It was difficult, especially because my mom wasn't in town. There wasn't any, for me, it wasn't like I have that background that would, lift me up and say, hey, you can do this. So for me, there was a time when I literally had to come to the headquarters, please. You
were crying?
I literally cried. I remember I saw the man that was when I came like this headquarters so please and when he saw the business where it is now, he's like, I'm so proud of you. So for me it wasn't easy, to be really honest. Yeah.
Okay. And the production, did you mention 10,000 bottles per order?
Yeah, we do have companies who order that much. We do have companies because we supply companies like StarPack, we supply with KPI, and these are major companies. And I love that as much as they are big companies, they are really supportive to us SMEs. It's not like we knew everything. Sometimes when you start, you'd have damages and then you'd have a company hearing, I don't want to work with you anymore. But with them, they were like, no, you can fix here, and Bankanya, this is how you can package. And they're really supportive, to be honest. So we do have orders as that much. And these are not inclusive of the walk-in clients, because we do have walk-in clients by, funerals, weddings. And one thing about COVID is it affected my business positively, because right after COVID, people were now obligated to package food. They're obligated to package meati, you're not pouring them in the cup like we used to traditionally.
Yes.
So this is something that has really helped us. Every week you'd have a client, you'd have a client, we have, Sunday soccer events, things like that, water companies. So it's
that's good.
Yeah.
I see that some bottles come pre-labeled. Do you actually do the labeling also?
Oh no, we don't actually do the branding and the labeling, but we do have one or two strategic alliances or companies that we work with who brand for our clients, because sometimes we have clients by Langore, they come wanting everything readily made. So you can't tell a client, what we do is I call the branding, hey, I have a client over 500, please brand 500. Hi, can I bring the bottles? Tell the client, and then we package, we take to the client already made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A day in the life of Mandy Gopolang. What did you say you pack into an average day to get this thing going?
Are we talking about the production process?
Both production and marketing.
Okay. What we do is, what I love about...
Because I know you are the chief marketing officer.
Yes. Definitely I am. What I love is we don't, like I told you, we don't do our production as per order. We do mass production. So what we do with my employees, we have targets. I'll tell them, hey guys, this week, 10,000. Okay. In a month, now no, in a month, 40. Okay. So for them, if you say 40, they'll be like, that's a lot. So but how divide like I bake it? They're like, no, it's not bad, because I've seen them manage to do about 3,000 bottles in a day, in a good day. They manufacture, and then after we do that, we package the bottles, and then we just sit and wait for orders, or we go out. Now I'm really at the warehouse. Business warehousing. You have to go outside and look for business. Knock on doors, tell people this is the product that I'm selling. And
so when the production is taking place in the warehouse, when you are out there in the marketplace?
I'm out there. And if there's nothing to do out there, I'm actually inside because all of my employees, I'm the one that did the training. So there's absolutely nothing that, even if they would call me right now and say, what do we do? I would know. So it's not like, oh, I'm the boss, I'm not doing anything. No.
You get your hands dirty.
Yes, we do that. We do that, yeah.
Okay. The marketing side involves Instagram. There's a little bit of an influencer element there. Can you tell us about that side?
Okay, Instagram. I wouldn't classify myself as an influencer, though people do, but I've decided to use that platform to actually promote the business, and it has actually worked extremely well for me because I would, there are times when I would be called for interviews like today, there are times when, I would just post my things and I would tag the company, or I'm at work, I'm wearing overall and I'll take a cute picture and I'm like, at work, these kind of things. They actually do help. I've seen them actually help. So can I come and see the warehouse? How many bottles? It actually it works hand in hand. I love that.
Okay. Is it on Instagram or the other?
GOP Bottles is actually on Facebook as well. It's on Facebook, or on Instagram, or also on WhatsApp. It's not on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually looking into taking it to TikTok. I'm not sure how because of the product lines, but I'm working on it.
I'm also not on Twitter, but I'm on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
And, it's easy. It's the same principle.
Okay.
Now, what did you say are the setbacks, if any, that you've encountered so far?
The challenges or the setbacks with me?
With you and the business.
Let me start with capital. Let me start with that one because that's the biggest that we all face as SMEs. The challenge that I have is my demand is actually higher than my supply. It's not vice versa. It's actually higher. So now
Isn't
when
that
my
a good
demand,
problem to have?
it is. But there's a but.
Yeah.
It is. But the challenge is the higher the demand, I need to invest more into the company so that I can, it means I need to get more molds because currently as we speak, I have a few clients that have contacted me by Lankore that are going into cooking oil, basimolotse cooking oil, basimolotse, sunlight, the sunlight dishing liquid, the green one. There's a client called Francis Town and my machine is capable of doing that. Now the challenge now comes where I need to get more money to get those particular molds because it's not like my machine it's a matter of getting molds, and molds are actually quite expensive. But
you source them from where?
From China. My machinery is coming from China. South Africa, no, my machinery, everything is coming from China. They are really precise in terms of everything that they do. The only thing that we get from South Africa is the preforms, the plastic that we use, and the bottle caps. And
the molds.
Yeah, the molds come from China. Leather machine. Yeah.
So you're still explaining that the capital is a challenge. How do you propose to overcome that?
It's something that I'm actually currently working on because I'm now looking into finding investors. I've also approached Leah because I'm actually under Leah. That's where my incubator, my business is. I'm under the Leah incubator, so I'm currently also looking into that because it's something that has been really straining the business a bit because there were times when we would get stuck, but I have so many clients that are saying, hey, please give me this product, I'll support you this way. And I'm talking about people that are willing to buy in large numbers, not just 200 bottles.
What about the old-fashioned funding, banks? Have you not approached our institutions?
I've actually as a bank has approached me, but I don't know if I'm not knowledgeable about it. It's out of fear of, oh my God, what if what if they take my machines? What if they take, I've actually thought about it, but...
You're concerned about what happens if you default.
Yes.
Because banks can be ruthless.
Yes. I feel like I would go crazy if I would lose my business, But it's something that I've actually looked into. Actually, they are the ones that came to me, but Makana would see, you are a client and then I just felt like the conditions, so I'm honestly a bit...
I think you just need to get a financial consultant who can walk you through that.
Yeah.
Because the risk is there, but it is manageable risk, especially if you have orders.
Right.
I think if you have substantial orders, then you should be able to manage that risk. Yeah. Now, what about angel investing? Have you considered that as an alternative?
I actually have. I've heard about it. The time I've heard about it was in varsity. But I've never actually been in a position to, put it into practice. I've never had the opportunity to right now. How is it practically? I wouldn't know who to look.
You're looking at a founder of Angel Network Botswana, a co-founder.
Okay.
You're looking at someone who's very active.
Okay.
So maybe after this interview, we can have a chat.
I would appreciate that.
What is your drive? What drives you? What keeps you going as an entrepreneur? Maybe you can touch on that as you touch also on your core values.
Okay. What drives me? For me, I know a lot of people would say money, but with me, it's actually not. I love helping. And this is actually a weakness on my part because...
I think it's a strength.
I'll explain why it's a weakness. It's a weakness because I love people so much. I'm unable to confront. Even with my employees, there was a time when I actually had a challenge with one, and it was hard for me to say, you cannot do this. You cannot come to work late. You cannot make so many damages because, just and it's something that I remember I explained to my supervisor. I'm like, how do I deal with this? She's like, no, you have to. Because what I used to do is when I have a challenge like that, I would outsource someone to say, hey, please go
You get people from outside the company.
Yeah. So it's, hey, I don't know how it's a strength, but actually that's something that drives me a lot because there are times when I want to give up. I think, Mandy, you have employees. These are people that are feeding people. What happens when you just throw in the towel and you give up? What happens to those people? So for me, that's something that has really driven me a lot. And I think also... the
desire to help people.
A lot.
To provide a service.
Yes.
That's a very good one.
That's Mandy, honestly. It's something that's been... It's been Mandy. It's always been Mandy, and I've told people that it's not gonna change. Whether from now somehow God opens a big door for me, it's never gonna change. That's always been my principle. There are times when even with my employees, I would give them day offs, and I'm like, guys, you've reached the target, so you can go home. Because with us, I'm a manufacturer. I'm not a wholesaler. So like I said, Rebecca target. If I've given them 10,000 for the week, and they do the 10,000. I'll give them Thursday and Friday off. Because we do have working clients, right? So they would say, now we don't want to go home. And I was like, wow. And it's amazing because the principles that I have, they've poured down to my employees. I remember there was a time when I was going through so much at work. They could see that I'm not okay. And one of them, I remember why you started this business. And these are words that always come from my mouth. I literally cried, not because of what he said, but because I'm like, oh my God, you guys are turning into mini Mandys. It was amazing.
You've created a lot of mini me's.
Yes.
Mini yourself.
It was amazing. I'll never forget that experience. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about your specific products. Because I have a brochure here, but I'm not able to tell one from the other.
Okay.
You take me through the products.
Okay. So what we manufacture plastic bottles, but currently, as it stands, we manufacture 500 mLs and 1.5s. because initially when I was doing the research, a bulk of my customers were coming from this particular, size, your 8500 demand, 8500 ml and the 1.5s. But obviously her business in Zehola, that's when I realized that no, there's actually more potential. So sometimes I would actually be hard on myself, and I'm like, oh my God, you could have done more research. You could have, because prior to this, COVID happened, and after COVID, things like sanitizers, and it became, there was a company sanitizer. They actually called me, Mandy, and I'm like, oh my God, I should have thought of that. But these are things that I had to cancel myself, and I'm like, Mandy, these things you grow because as far as we're concerned, and these are things that I didn't look into. But currently, as we speak, we're doing 500 mls and 1.5s
only.
Okay, yes.
Does that mean you're going to require another warehouse if you want to do others, or it's enough just to modify the machine or get another machine?
It's definitely enough to modify the machine. It's just a matter of getting more molds. Molds, they are changed to a machine. You just call the guys to come and change. But mold whatever we want to produce for that period. But if it's in terms of expanding, we would definitely need another warehouse and get another machine, the same exact one like of Francistown, because we have clients. We usually courier our bottles, because also another challenge get transport, because we're a small company. But company we actually need, our bottles need to go out. We have clients go maung baletsa Mogopolang karna mabotlele ra sokola ha ona branch ka kwano bogolo, and I'm just like, and how go kwa ra customer ra re nya kana, so for me these are things that I'm actually looking into. I'm like, if I was to actually open another branch, it would be somewhere to service the whole north, because where I'm at,
like
I'm actually
Francistown and Maung areas.
Yes, because we do courier our bottles. Pikwe, Francistown, Maung. There's a client to Batla Mabotle Loko Maung. We've done one in Khanti, Baba Ngobabo Jwani, Mushopa, and close by areas Bakaburuni. Batla in person to come in.
Obviously, they cover those costs.
They do.
Those couriers costs.
Yes,
yeah.
And it's
I've heard some people say that if you buy machines from China, it's always a problem when it comes to parts, and also when it comes to getting specialists to fix and repair.
Yeah.
How has that been your experience, and how are you guarding against that?
It was actually one of our challenges as well, because this is a machine that is completely new. Most people do not know about it. The specialized ones, they would what will happen,
and they might even damage it.
We've had situations like that before, and to a point where I was like, no one is touching my machine until I figure it out. And with me, it was actually difficult because COVID. The Chinese were not allowed to come. Neither was I allowed to go anywhere to go and benchmark. But that was actually an opportunity that they put for me on the table. We can call someone to come and show you guys how it works. So when I started, luckily for me, Leah Yako Francistown, they have the same exact machine. The same exact machine. They had the same exact machine in Francistown. So I went that side.
Some other operator there?
It wasn't,
itself.
It wasn't a company. So I went to benchmark for 2 weeks to know everything about the machine. What's going on.
They had trained someone here in Botswana who was able to train you?
No.
So how did you...
I don't know how they knew about it, but I know because they have the same, and it was actually not just Balea. I do have, we produce bottles in Botswana. We're actually few. So so there was a time when I had a challenge. I called one of them, Agua Water. I have a challenge. What's going on? And he came all the way to my labs. He's like, okay. let me show you how dirayana, this is the problem, or this is the person to call, because ene he's into water, but he has the plant. So because I was coming in,
manufactures his own containers.
Yes. So I love that because sometimes you can come, you know, the customer, you know what I mean. But for me, he really helped a lot. Yeah.
Let me ask you about the actual production process itself. Can you share how from start to finish?
Okay. We actually use a material or be doing a preform. I should have brought it actually. It's a very small plastic bottle, I think. So it's in a preform heating machine. Plastic, I think, melt. Not literally melt, but like it melts to a point where and then from there it gets into the second machine. It's called a molding machine. Molding machine cold air at a very fast speed.
Cold air?
Yes. It's from the compressor, because we also have a compressor, and then it blows into that small plastic, and then it takes the shape of the mold. The bottle, and then that's it. After that, how to produce we do package. So we package when we started, the customer but then, you know, as we were growing in business, I realized that this is not working for us. Let us sell the bottles in batches. So we sell our bottles in hundreds. Package nicely, about in hundreds. So which means a batch is
how much? Why was it not working one-on-one?
It wasn't working because of the packaging that we were using. You'd have package material. It was fit enough to put 100 bottles. So you imagine a client is coming and say, I want 20 bottles. It's like monela packaging mahala. So it really wasn't working for us on the financial aspect. Yeah.
Okay. What would you say are the your core values? I asked you earlier, but I don't think you answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Core values as an personally or for the business?
No, for the business. And explain each one of them.
Okay. Number one, equality. This is why this is the first one, because I will always put my people first. My employees, I will literally. That's one thing I love is I don't like stereotyping people. You know, and by the way, can I just share something really brief? There was a time when we had visitors go warehousing. Batoba prisons, they came to the warehouse, and what happened was there was a funeral and they came to purchase the bottles. I always share this experience because I will never forget it. So they came to purchase on Emma Botlele. So they were fascinated by Lerumo production. They were really fascinated on Hore. You know. So they're telling my employees, so at the time, I'm actually in the office. My employee comes, what about you? So haketsa mano le ke ha o mana gore ke ha o mana re le batla go ntshamikisetsa nako ke batla go bona o motona ke se ke le ntsitsitse motho o monyenyane. You know, I remember my tears were up to here. I didn't know what to say because you're trying to be professional, but then also I'm feeling very upset. I'm like, oh my God. That's what I said. I literally went back into the office. My employee above n, you know. After that, sorry, hey, so all of this and I remember in that experience, like, you know what? Because go supa gore la nyatsa go re gore la o kopane le nna hela ke gore akere, and which explains why I told you when I started these are some of the things that I experienced. I would tell people this is what I want to do, and they'll be like, you can't do that. So you can imagine even if la habats and abaitela ke dira, they're just like, so for me it was something that I wasn't happy with at all, because now I believe in equality. Whether you find me, you will treat me like a normal human being. So that's, they know they can sit down with me and say, I'm not happy with this. I'm not a boss. Benchmark. Brian one of my employees, and they'll be just to give them, so that's something that I really believe in, equality, honor, and
that's
also
that's a very good experience. I like it.
I do. And with this one, accountability, I love it when, that's why I was talking about my employees. I love them so much. So pardon me for always talking about them.
No,
yes.
It's a good thing.
Yes. So accountability, everyone needs to be. I told Lahari Hira, guys, we all do everything. I will come here tomorrow. You will find me. It's not about no little machine. Everything. I'm withholding this information from them because I don't want them to know. I want them to be able to be in a position where someone asks them something about the company and they can answer. They should be accountable. How the machine really, they know what to say. Marketing, they know what to say. The only thing that maybe as the MD I'll take care of, maybe the accounting aspect and the bigger parts of the business. But accountability is something that they know. You guys need to be accountable to everything in the business. So that's also, and also customer centricity. I
explain really, that one, customer centricity.
My clients. It's I believe in customers. Honestly, I am not. That's what I was telling you. I have clients on a normal day. If you are a company, if a customer comes and says, as a normal person, you can say, but for me, I was like, no, I cannot return this customer. I need to retain this customer. So hence why I actually formed other strategic alliances so that I can be able to take my customers, so that they are constantly calling, like it's not it's I relate with my customers on a personal level. I really do. And I love that because I have a lot of clients juices, all sorts of these things. They always come, but they drink it. Because with me, because the social media, the influential aspect.
You're an influencer, yes.
Sesotho branding on social media. Hey guys, please support Sesotho branding. The juice is nice. Juice. Me a package GOP bottle. Okay. So it works as well for me.
Maybe that's your chance to now talk a little bit about Sesotho branding.
Yeah, Sesotho branding is actually one of our clients as well. The lady Wira, or let me say the company, because it's two different entities. They're into all things branding. They brand Baira Distikara, the branding ya kotirong, the uniform, all sorts.
Sesotho branding.
Sesotho branding. Yeah, it's actually a local company. I work with locals only because then I'm trying to support Monana Yomong. As I would have clients hi Mandy, do you know Mungwe Yoira Metiko Giko Pikwe? I would call Simama go Pikwe, Monana Mongwe go Pikwe, get hey, can I let Lanta please Mutuseko? So that's just how we work together, and it's been working so well. No, we don't work because after they come back, to me it's just a domino effect, just like that.
And you only mentioned bottles, but I see from your brochure that you also do plastic chairs and sanitizer bottles, food containers.
Okay, that is what actually we want to
aspire towards,
branch into.
Yeah.
Because these are things they
branch into or expand into.
Expand into. Sorry.
Yeah.
Expand into, because these are things that we are actually capable of making. It's just a matter of capital, like I said. It's just a matter of capital. We need more capital so that we can be able to, expand into these things, because we've actually done a lot of research on them. They're actually in high demand as well. So we are actually looking into that.
Okay, so you already know how much money you need to invest in these things.
Yeah, I've done all the research. I actually did a whole proposal for it.
So then the question then becomes, if I was an angel, how are you willing to sell equity, or it's purely debt? In other words, you want to just borrow money where nobody gets shares, or you are willing to offer some equity in your business? I
was actually looking into the equity route. Yeah.
But then it means that you should consider Angel Network, Botswana, very seriously, because that's their entire existence is based on that.
Okay.
When you know what your capital requirements are, and when your business is scalable, we're very big on scalability.
Okay.
Then you might qualify.
Okay.
To make a presentation. There's a whole process involved.
Okay. I'll definitely.
So I don't know if I'm now selling
no.
Angel Network Botswana to you.
It's allowed.
Yeah.
It's allowed.
Yeah. Do you already have like a game plan? For instance, if I was going to ask you, what does a crystal ball tell us about the next 10, 15, 20 years for hops bottles? Yeah.
For now, I actually want hop bottles to be one of the top plastic bottle manufacturing companies in Botswana, and we're talking all sorts of plastics, from 500 mls to your sanitizer bottles to mabotlela, domestos, handy, everything that's to do with plastic. And I know someone has asked me before that we are moving away from plastic, so what's the plan? Because you want to go more into plastic. So with me, that's why we are using this particular material called PET. This material is recyclable and it's also environmentally friendly. So it does not affect our future plans at all. So in the next, I do want to see hot bottles at a place where it's a big warehouse and we have all these machines manufacturing all sorts of bottles, not just bottles, even going back the supply chain and actually manufacturing the actual plastic itself, because I've actually done research into that. It's something that is doable as well, because if I was able to pull this off, I definitely know that that's something that we can pull off, and there's actually a very big market on that, because we currently don't have that supplier this side.
Yeah. So potentially you plan to employ how many people?
In Molepole or in 10 years?
Yeah, in those years that you're planning to grow.
100. That's the number that I'm looking at.
100.
100.
Oh, okay.
100.
Because currently you employ how many?
Currently we are 4.
You're 4.
We are 4 at the warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, hundreds would be huge.
Would be, yes. Would be amazing. Wow.
Any plans to expand outside the country?
Export? I've actually not looked into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just focused on. That's a good one. I need to look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned the environment, that these things are environmentally friendly. How would you convince a skeptic? Maybe I'm skeptical. Really?
Okay.
You say they're biodegradable. Prove it to me. What would you say?
I wouldn't know how to prove it practically, but the only way to prove it is whenever we finish with our products, there's a recycling company. It's actually a young Motswana actually that we met when I was under the Forbes 30 under 30. I was a delegate and we met there. And these networking sessions, and someone's like, oh, I'm into recycling. I'm like, oh. So these are the people that we work with. We recycle our bottles. The only things that we put modesty meaning is cleaning after cleaning and everything. So that would be the only way to prove if it's not practical. I don't know any other way.
So what you want to tell me is that this bottle, you can bury it and then if you dig it up, it will be just part of the soil. It will be gone.
Yes.
But you haven't actually seen it happen.
I'll try it.
Okay.
I'll definitely try it.
I have to tell you something about lawyers. We are born skeptics.
Okay.
And we are trained to be skeptical.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
No problem.
All right. So testimonials. Are there any references from customers that you wish to share?
We do actually. We have quite a lot. I'll mention a few. Sesotho branding as a starter. We've worked with, Aqua Croc. There's a company, I think Aqua Croc, it's a water company in Mompoloki we constantly work with. Absolutely amazing, very supportive. There's also Fresh Fountain in Mompoloki. There's 7 Streams. There's, oh my God, there's actually quite a lot. And most of them are water companies. There's Starpack. And with Starpack, it's amazing because they have a branch in Francistown. And they don't only get bottles from us, but some are bottled from, different suppliers, some even from South Africa. But there was a time when they called, but the customer about like this particular shape, because we all do different
quality.
shapes. I was humbled. I was really humbled, and they're like, please, mabotele. Mabotele kana, but you are in high demand, that particular shape. So it's amazing, really. We do have a lot of clients that are actually
have you thought into moving into water manufacturing and distribution, because some companies do both what you're doing
they do
and the water part?
I've thought about it, but I was a bit skeptical because I felt like when I started the business, my target was the water companies. So I just if I go into water, won't I chase my clients? But so that's something that I was like, how will it affect my business? But I was actually, a lot of clients actually buy we do have clients we do buy or the branding machine it's not even that big. I've thought about what if we get this and then because it's, do you do stickers as well? I've actually thought about it. It's just that I was a bit skeptical, wondering how it would affect the business. Yeah,
and you have other future expansion plans, like you mentioned. You mentioned the possibility of manufacturing even chairs.
Right.
Yeah. But for chairs, you'll have to get a bigger machinery.
Yeah.
Okay.
A bigger machine and a bigger mold.
Okay. Now, we've covered the inspiration for starting. But what is the inspiration to keep going? If just as we wrap up our conversation, what is it that really says to you, doesn't matter what happens, I'm going to keep going?
Right. For me, it's prayer. I'm a Christian. I will not hide that. I'm a Christian and I pray a lot. It's one of my major principles as well.
Same here.
Yes. Oh, amazing. It's I don't hide that. It's one of my, it keeps me going a lot. There are times when, like I said, I would want to give up. And there's always that, you can do it. Yeah. You can do it. I also have people, support groups. We're formed as entrepreneurs, young people, that when we're going through these things, you can talk to someone and say, hey guys, what do you do? And we would help each other. My mom as well has been my biggest support system. There were times when I would want to give up. Mama would say, hey, you cannot. There are many young people who want to be where you are, and when she's always been supportive. She's to a point where she's fascinated by the process as well, so she can work overnight. So she's also been.
You could even employ her.
Yes. She's also been a pillar of strength, honestly. Yeah.
So then, who are your mentors apart from your mom? Do you have mentors? And why? I also want you to cover mentors on the social media and influencer side of things.
On social media. At first, actually, when I was looking into finding a mentor, I've actually never believed in mentors, because I was like, what do mentors do? That was just me. I'll just be realistic. I was just like, what is a mentor going to say? But then after some time, I was like, no, but these people actually do help. You know, there's also Vusi Tembekwayo. That's I read a lot, by the way. So I'd get books, but of late I haven't been consistent on that. So I think I'm actively looking for a mentor. As of now, I don't have a mentor. When I have a challenge, I just call my supervisor and say, hi, Mpo, I'm going through 1, 2, 3, what do I do? But I know that I need someone who, I need that. It's actually something
Vusi
I'm
mentors you by you just watching his podcast?
Yes.
Or his whatever he's posting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read, Yeah,
he's an interesting one. He's an interesting guy.
Yes, quite.
In fact, I'm going to speak at a conference where he spoke before.
Oh, wow.
So it's
amazing.
It's interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
It's a time now where you can hit me with a question if you have a question.
About this or about the angel investment?
Anything. Anything. We are very open.
Okay. Question number 1. I wanted to talk about how would you advise a young Motswana?
You're allowed only one question.
One?
Yeah.
This one is fine.
Yeah.
What would you say, looking at the challenge, like I told you, the biggest challenge right now is capital. What would you say we should go into? Do we go into debt or equity, and why?
They both have their pros and cons. Debt certainly has helped in terms of expansion, but you also have to have done your homework in terms of knowing your projections, knowing how to minimize risk, to ensure that at least you have orders, you have things lined up in terms of distribution. In the real estate side, we will make sure that we go for buildings that are in demand, whether it's on a commercial where you'd want to make sure that the building is in a good location, or things like warehousing. Warehousing, is always in demand, so we would focus on those, and then a little bit of multi-residential. So you have to do the same in your business and target things that are in demand, so you minimize the risk of failure and default. There will be risk, but if you take funds, you have to be able to pay it back. And if your projections indicate that if your assumptions are all met, there's an upward trajectory in terms of growth, then I would say go for it. You'll always have that, I would say 30 to 40% doubt, suspicion that it might not work. So what I advise my mentees is that when you get to 60, 70% certainty, even the 30% is question marks, go for it. Because there's more than a 50% chance of success. So I would say that debt can work in your case, but equity also has its advantages, because in the context of angel network investment, if you sell or give away a percentage, let's say 5%, because we normally go for minority, 5, 10, 15%, thereabouts. Then you have the advantage of having a mentor. Hopefully you will have someone who's experienced in business, or better still, someone who's involved in that field or has some knowledge. So you have the dual advantage of having the finance and the expertise, because that person also wants to make sure that the business they've invested in succeeds. So it also has its advantages. So I would suggest that you consider both, and you look at the pros and cons. So I think capital is essential for growth, and the reason why we're in a capitalist society is because we need capital, and capital is a system. So I would say go for it if you want to expand.
Thank you so much. I definitely will.
Now, can you turn to that camera? You see that one? And say a few words of inspiration and encouragement to that viewer that might be watching you there.
My word of inspiration as a viewer, as a young Motswana, or however old you are, is to never give up. Don't give up. You have nothing to lose. That's also a principle of mine. Just keep trying. I would rather try and fail than actually not try and wonder what could have happened if it worked. So that's my piece of advice.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Now, what you can share with them is all your contact details, social media, everywhere, physical address, all of
Okay.
those things.
Okay, GOP Bottles, you can find it on Facebook, Hop Bottles, GOP Bottles, on Instagram, @Hop Bottles, and on WhatsApp, our number is 77946076. Our physical location is in Molepole Industrial, right under the Layer Incubator, Unit 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lastly, but not least, last but not least, say a little shameless plug to promote Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. Why should they even watch Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom?
Guys, you need to watch this because you will never know who's watching. This is a very big platform. You can find people here who are willing to help you. You can grow your business, your customers. There's a customer that is watching this right now who's going to give me a call. I'm 100% sure. So please do subscribe. This is an amazing platform for entrepreneurship, for business, mentorship, whatever advice that you may need, everything entrepreneurship. This is the place. Yes.
Thank you very much. You've done an excellent job,
Thank you.
madam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I don't know whether to call you Mandy or to call you Hops.
Mandy.
Yeah.
Mandy, please.
Yeah. Or Hop.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. No. Thank you very much, Mandy. Thanks
I
for coming.
appreciate it.
Yeah.